So I think what I wanted to do is just show you, I'm assuming, a lot of you are on F1, OPT, and H1B. So it'll be, I would have loved to see somebody's journey when I was in your position. Like, what do people go through and what do they do? So I hope you'll find this useful. And I think a lot of what I've been through is not atypical, but there has been some interesting turns and twists. So I hope this works. So I came in to US 2010, RIT, MS in computer science. Part of my the RIT curriculum included co-ops, which was absolutely, just great to, build US experience, because when you actually go and look for full-time jobs, your co-op experience really, really helps. So I was lucky to get two co-ops during my graduate degree, part of it, which was part of my CPT. So then I moved from CPT, as I assume a lot of you are now in OPT, is to file my OPT and join a startup. Now, the interesting thing about VVox, which is my Boston-based, my first US company that I worked for, that when I joined the company, they had a little bit of a mishap, and they kind of sold the company and bought a technology inside of their own company and created a 4-person, 5-person new entity. And this was like, I had an offer letter from them, and they had all this thing going on, and I was a student. I was like, what is going on? And at some point I need an H1B
Right.
sponsored from you. So funny enough, like 2013, VWorks was very new entity legally with like 7 people. So I became an early employee by virtue of that, and my H1B did get approved. And this was around the time I was very worried about it, because a lot of my friends went to big companies like Amazon, Intuit, and the West Coast, big tech. And I really, really wanted to work for a startup. And like very early signs of me was that you don't have to have a very big company to get an H1B sponsored, right? If you have a legit business that can do something, there is no it's not as risky as you might imagine.
Yeah, Sid, if you don't mind if I jump in just a
Of
little bit.
course.
A lot of people are deciding, when they're making that pivot in their careers, whether or not to go for a bigger tech company or to go for a startup. And I think they both have their advantages. Just tell me about your decision. Like, why did you make that decision that you wanted to go to startup?
Without constraints, I wanted to work for a startup because, like I said, I was an aspiring, let's say, entrepreneur, dreamer of like one day I'll have my own business. And I knew I would learn a lot. And plus, it was a gaming company. So this was ideal for me. But, when you see a company go down, 5 people, and you are on F1, you are in a survival mode, right? So at that point, all your brain cells are about what's the safest thing so I can get a job in H1B.
Right.
So the decision for me is that, do I take this risk, start a P, do this job that I like, and figure out whether H1B will happen or not? Or do I just go and, I did a lot of interviews during the time too. And, Intuit was one thing that was a couple of offers I had, and I could have taken that. So I think it depends on your appetite in a way and what do you really want. And this is not to say that big companies are not good. I mean, that's totally fine to work for Amazon, learn a lot from there, 6, 7 years, right? You will really, get to see how big companies operate. And then you could start your own company too, if you're an aspiring founder. And, big companies are good money too. So if you get a good compensation, I say go for it, right? So I guess it depends.